from Brooklyn, New York. We have a diaspora that can absorb a significant number of these migrants. And when I hear colleagues talk about, the doors of the inn being closed, no room in the inn, I'm saying, I need more people in my district, but just for redistricting purposes. And those members could clearly fit here.
America, come here. Come here. Come closer. What are we doing? Because I just saw a video of, I guess the state of Maine has just elected a mayor that I'm not even going to say what country she's from. Because the thing is, every time I do that, every time I mention a country, even if it's not about the country, everybody always wants to make it into some xenophobic topic. So just look it up yourself. But the bottom line is, this mayor of Maine did not mention anything about what she's going to do for the state of Maine, the country, nothing about making America better, nothing like that. Like, her whole focus is on her home country. How can we help my country that I come from? How can I help make that better? How can we make my country better? Did y'all really put somebody like that in office? I have a hard time believing that this person was actually elected, to be honest with you. I think that there's some planting going on here. If I'm going to be perfectly honest, I think there's some planting going on. Because there's no way that they're putting in all of these people who barely speak fucking English, that got these heavy-ass accents, into public offices so that they can help their fucking home countries. Like, that shit is blowing me right now. Honestly, my thinking is, you should not be able to be elected into any office position, any official political position, unless your family has been here for at least 3 generations. Because if you've only been here for 1 or 2 generations, you don't have enough love and respect for this country and what it stands for you to be making any type of decisions on behalf of the people. You ain't been here long enough. A lot of these people probably don't even know the history of the country. So why are you in office making decisions? Like, this shit don't make no fucking sense. Where else in the world can you go where you could just come there and just be an elected official and start making decisions for the country? That don't make no fucking sense, y'all. Come on, wake the fuck up.
Well, I would have to agree. And welcome once again to the Independent Black Voice. And we have something to talk about. Should a non-FBA be in charge of the Black Caucus? And this conversation is expanding. It's expanding past the caucus, which this is a broadcast that I've been wanting to do for about the past week. Of course, the image thing popped up first, so I did that. So I always had doing this broadcast planned, and then, of course, was not able to go live on Saturday as normal. So we're doing this tape delayed, but nonetheless, you'll probably start seeing a lot more videos coming out with this particular topic. Because it's also a very important topic that us as a collective need to kind of hone in on and put some real focus to, because we do not need people speaking for us. We don't need outsiders representing us that really desire to represent other countries and other lands and things of the such. And right now we have Yvette Clarke, who is literally representing Jamaica, and I think that's one of the biggest things that, really should be catching the eye to some folks. And, from what we have experienced here as of late, and there's some deeper implications for all of this, to be quite honest. And so there's some tie-ins that I want to touch on today, because there's some deeper connections much deeper connections. As I was looking into Yvette Clarke and some of her associations, you remember when they mentioned these groups on Joy Reid's program? Let's see, do I have that photo in here? Well, they mentioned all of the names of the different groups. They had FBA, they had ADOS there. Yeah, this picture here. This picture right here. Y'all remember this? Yeah, when they was on that type of time. Yeah, get that bigger for you. See? Black voters continue to be the subject of digital disinformation campaigns. This report, and so lo and behold, this report is closely tied to the people tied to Yvette Clarke. And I guess you guys could never guess what other person is in the mix of all of this. It's the one that I've been warning y'all about for years. Old Miss Jam. Oh, she's plugged into all of this. So she and one of her tether cohorts are responsible for coming up with this this group, and I found some interesting things like So she, the Jam woman, once again, is one of the people behind targeting foundational Black American, targeting our agenda. Now, always remember that in her meeting, she talked of her funding partners. So remember, when all these people start talking certain stuff, they're getting money from the MacArthur Foundation. And I know that sticks out for a lot of people. What I want you to understand is MacArthur Foundation is just one of many. And look at what we're talking about up here. Thank you to our institutional funding partners who are committed to advancing reparations and transforming philanthropy for the better. Does anybody remember any of those groups ever coming to Black America saying, we're trying to advocate for your reparations? Anybody have you heard, ever seen anybody presenting that? I can't say that I have, but lo and behold, they're giving her money. To do what? Oh, actually target grassroots Black American groups, foundational Black Americans. And the people who are the list of issues targeting Black voters: reparations, criminal justice, climate change, that's a joke. Immigration, yes. And really, you just take the first and the last. Reparations and immigration. They threw them other two in there. But they know what's going on. So you see people out here doing stuff like this, you got to be mindful that they don't mean us no good. Let me see. Okay, let's go here first. Let's go here first.
The Massachusetts GOP is criticizing Governor Maura Healey over a new report that shows shifting shelter costs to the state's home-based program. The program provides rental assistance to migrant families. According to the report, Massachusetts is on pace to spend $97 million on the home-based program in the current fiscal year. The state spent approximately $9.5 million on housing at-risk families. Massachusetts Republican Party Chair Amy Carnevale released a statement following the release of the report, saying in part, quote, "As much as Maura Healey would like the public to think that she's improving the system, the data tells a different story."
Jeez. And so here's my thing. When you see the white Democrats doing what they do, you already know these other folks going to follow suit. And one of the things, let me just go back about this Yvette Clarke. Okay, so here's one video. Yeah, let's check this out.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Yvette Clarke of the 9th Congressional District of New York.
And I'm Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett of the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Co-chairs of the Caribbean Caucus on Capitol Hill, and I have to express my outrage. We are outraged with the Trump administration's denial of individuals who have been harmed by the tragic circumstances in the Bahamas. We want to see every single individual who reach our shores receive temporary protected status.
We've sponsored legislation along with other members of Congress to ensure that those individuals who want to continue to be employed, want to bring the economic growth of their country, but of course, due to the devastation in the Bahamas, are unable to do so, to come to the United States on a temporary basis to assist in the rebuilding of the Bahamas during its time.
It will be their remittances, if given a work permit, that will help to really help that nation rebound. It's devastating what's taking place on the island right now, and we need to stand up and do our part here in the United States.
Stand up and do our part. Have you ever heard either of these individuals advocate for anything for Black Americans? This is specifically for one group. They can figure out how to do that for the Bahamians. When it comes down to who they actually represent while being it, how are you in the Caribbean Caucus and Black Caucus at the same time? You're not representing Black Americans' interests. But they're drawing up legislation, as you just heard. They can draw up legislation to help. And this is under Donald Trump's first term. Y'all hear me? This is under his first term. What I want to get to is the fact of why they have moved Yvette Clarke into this driver's seat. And one of the things has been this tether takeover that they have been planning with the DNC. So one thing that we present is combating that mission to, number one, replace us as the primary voting bloc for the DNC. I guess this is the contingency plan of Lyndon B. Johnson to get Black folks voting for the Democratic Party so long. And let's just remember, let's never forget how these people have came here acting.
Tonight, in this room full of music's dreamers, we remember that this country was built by dreamers, for dreamers, chasing the American dream.
And it absolutely was not. This country was built by our ancestors for free after they were put in chains and forced to work on plantations, building this nation's economy, building this nation's infrastructure, building the financial foundation of what you now know to be Wall Street, what you have now as the banking community. This is all built on the free labor of slaves. You want to know how you can't get away from that undeniable fact? Is right now we are talking about dreamers coming here to get a better life, to be cheap laborers. Well, what's more cheap than free? And they say, well, we need all of these cheap laborers. So you can't function without cheap labor. Well, then that leads to say You obviously cannot be the wealthiest nation on the planet without free labor, right? And that free labor needs to be compensated. And this is the compensation that you are getting from the Democrats who want all of these illegals in here. They'll come now and say, Black people did not build America. Everybody built America. But to this regard, this excludes Black America altogether. And this is what they've promoted on their television stations. What you see right now is two different logos. That's a CBS and it's a NBC up there.
I'm here on this stage tonight because, just like the Dreamers, my parents brought me to this country with nothing in their pockets but hope.
But they did know there was a country built by free slaves to which they could come and still have a better life than where they were at, because they could not cultivate for themselves what this free labor of the slaves have cultivated for you. And how you repay that cultivation of a foundation that you have to flee to is by immediately insulting it as soon as you get on the big stage. Who is this for? So again, see, this is the thing. That immigrant, oh yeah, we got to get into we're all immigrants. And no, we're not. Let's hear some more of this tether.
Now, another thing about Brooklyn is Brooklyn has a huge West Indian community.
Oh, yes.
I know your family's from Jamaica.
Absolutely.
Wagwan, brethren.
Wagwan. Wagwan.
That's all he knows.
I know. I listen. I listen to the show.
So I know there's some things that have been happening with the Dreamers right now.
Yes.
So let's talk about that.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because I'm so proud that I was the lead sponsor on
the Dream and Promise Act.
The Dream and Promise Act.
Remember, her and Jam are connected. You know, they talk about Richie Lou Dennis and Essence. I think Black Democrats really need to start looking at this, because how deviously deceptive this is. And it speaks, this is what it looks like when somebody really, truly hates you. They despise Black Americans, man. For whatever reason or another, it's not up to us to worry about why they hate us like that. But that is extremely devious. So she just told you out of her mouth that she was the lead on that. Let's get these Dreamers some citizenship. And also she was right there for the TPS. So I just gave you those two things that what are we talking about? And as we're talking about tethers and all of this, Yvette Clarke has been flying under the radar for a minute. And now that they have elevated her to the top position, the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, she has more visibility. But let's look at this woman's history. Here's some more.
No, and it's important. I know people personally who will benefit from this legislation. My district, I tell people, it's like right in the bullseye of everything that Donald Trump has done that has been so evil and so backward. And there's so many young people in our constituency, and they're really not a lot of them not that young anymore, but were brought here as children. Mm-hmm. And they have no choice. We went to school with them. They were in our class, mm-hmm. right? They're grown people now. Some may own their homes.
She is the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. Haven't heard one issue of Black America yet, but she is proud, like you just heard her say. to be doing all of this caping. And again, family, this ain't even what she's talking about Trump. She's talking about the first Trump term. This is 45, man. So she's been elevated to this position now for a reason. And it was because what she was doing behind the scenes by secretly using blackness to elevate this flooding the zone of illegals all the way back to DACA. Y'all following me? So the fact that we start talking reparations and lineage base, we have thrown a huge monkey wrench in this anti-foundational Black American plan that they have been trying to operate using these tethers all the time. So when we're saying tethers, they're upset. They're not upset because the word tether hurts their feelings. They're upset because they are legitimately doing what that movie Us is talking about. They are true tethers. That is exactly what they're doing. They the third world living tethers that might end up eating bushmeat. Remember in that movie, if you guys have seen it, they're eating rabbits. Think of what you would relate that to what you see in these videos. People eating bushmeat and eating cats and dogs and stuff that people over here don't eat. Then they're able to come over here, blend in sooner or later. Their whole agenda is to come over here and erase us. I would advise anybody to go back and look at that movie with the analytical view. And then maybe that'll start helping you see. Everybody said they put messages in films. Y'all might want to go back and reevaluate that and Get Out. Matter of fact, I'll tell you, you probably wouldn't even need to watch all of Get Out. Just watch the first 15 minutes. That's Black Americans. Everything else, that's going to go over everybody else's head. But for you Black Americans, go rewatch the first part of Us. Or Get Out.
Their children were born here, and they're in this limbo. Despite their challenges, they did everything.
They are in limbo. So now that you see what Trump has done, Trump understands one thing. The plan that he has to foil that they're doing also has other means. So subsequently, it helps Black America. It's not that he's doing it to give Black America an assist, but this is saying that, see how they were trying to flood the zone? And why do you think this whole gerrymandering thing, why do you think they focused in on Jasmine Crockett? There's actually two reasons why. One is because she can't prove her lineage because they know she scrubbed it. Right now with lineage-based everything, you can't get Black America to jump out the window for Jasmine Crockett. That's a wrap. So what then? When you can't jump out the window for Jasmine? Let's hear a little more.
That an American would do to advance their lives and their families and enhance our communities. And now you got this, this.
Come on. Playing just fine.
Gangster in the White House telling them, but we don't know whether you're truly American or not. That's crazy.
So then what happens to your home if you own your home?
That's a big question. I mean, there are real-time ramifications if we don't pass this legislation. It's unfortunate that we've passed it in the House and the Senate hasn't taken it up yet. I don't like to make it. Yeah, but I mean, the bottom line to it is these folks live in their districts too. Mm-hmm. These folks are people who contribute to the civil society that they represent, and so they have an obligation to take this up. And we tried once before. We
caught that the civil society, meaning that the civil society she actually is in position to represent is uncivilized. This is another reason why all of these cultures coming here don't necessarily suit us, because it matters where they're from. Being melanated don't mean being us, and being us don't necessarily mean you on the same mind frame as the rest of the group, and you might be counterproductive.
On the way to passing the DREAM Act. And, you know, they're these hardcore, you know, xenophobes is what I call them, who don't want to see anyone who's doesn't look like them, doesn't act like them, doesn't believe like them to live in the United States of America.
You know, every time I hear that type of madness, it's always horse crap to me. Because they spit in the eyes of actual Black people.
We have got to know that immigration really goes to the heart of who we are as a nation. If we are confident enough as Americans in our culture, we should welcome the legal immigrant. We should be able to accommodate diversity in our society. Are we strong enough to welcome those who ought to be in and retain a commitment to the rule of law by keeping those out who shouldn't get in? If we are to preserve
right there, she's identifying ones that should not be in. And there's right now, see, that is the conversation about all of the people who do not belong here. Flooding the zone illegally, not going through the proper means. And here's also another thing. You're not coming here based on asylum. You're coming here for the so-called better life. That is an economic opportunist. That is not our obligation to make someone's life better. That is up to the person themselves. How dare anyone ever suggest to a Black American ever in life that is the descendant of slaves here, and when they came from slavery, talking about cast your buckets down and pull yourselves up by your bootstraps? Shouldn't these people be doing that? Nobody's telling them that. They are welcoming them in. They are telling them how to break the law to stay here, and they are still overlooking the needs of the Black American community.
serve our immigration tradition and our ability to say yes to the people who want to get in and seek entry, we've got to have the strength to say no to the people who are not supposed to get in.
Thank you.
We need to make deportation a part of a credible immigration policy. As a nation committed to immigrants and the rule of law, we've got to do that balancing act. The most urgent immigration problem we face today is the unauthorized entry of hundreds of thousands of illegals. That undermines our commitment to legal immigration. Although the illegal alien may be generally...
Now, see, that's the one thing that you're not hearing from these new people, and why? Because they are bringing their third world tether ways to our government. And right now, we have the chief tether who is sitting in these positions in the seats like a Barbara Jordan. However, I believe Barbara Jordan, of course, was a senator and she's representative, but still. Being in Washington representing supposed Black American, this is the contrast. And here's what tethers will tell you. Oh, well, everything evolves. Black American culture does not evolve. We evolve. We've already been here, and then we've been shut out. That is not evolving. If you come here and then start stepping in the place and acting as you're representing us, just to represent another group. That's not evolution. That's tetherism. And so when you're that's an action. You are willfully doing that. And again, when somebody's willfully doing that, that means that they have animus. They have straight animosity toward the native-born Black Americans, the foundational Black Americans. Remember, I'm not a person that gets hung up on titles. If you're that shallow to worry about the word of the day, then you do that. But that's not what we're on right here in this channel. So hopefully you understand that. Because I'm sure there's going to be somebody in the comments like, oh, let me get this long little comment thread and rant off that is irrelevant to the conversation. One of the points of this channel and one of the guidelines of this particular channel is stay on topic. And this particular topic is about, should these non-FBAs be in charge of our the laws that get passed and made for us, and especially doing it in the capacity of representing us. That's what the Congressional Black Caucus is supposed to be. However, it is not acting as that function.
Law-abiding, and particularly in good economic times, maybe we need the illegals. Their entry in violation of the law is a violation of our national interest. We believe a credible approach to immigration must be comprehensive. First, border management. We support a very simple view about border management: prevent illegal entries, facilitate legal ones. The second part of our strategy, work site enforcement. Employment, we believe, continues to be the principal magnet for illegal aliens coming into the country.
Facts.
As long as U.S. businesses benefit from illegals on their workforce, they are not going to try to help us get on top of the problem. We believe that employer sanctions must be made to work.
Now, that's the other part that they do need to instill, and that probably would be a major incentive to make sure you put some things in stone about this immigration situation.
And enhanced labor standards enforcement, essential components of a strategy to reduce the job magnet. The third part of our recommendations.
That's an important part.
Immigrant eligibility for public benefits. That's a major one.
Yep.
The Commission believes that decisions about eligibility should support the objectives of immigration policy. Using these objectives as a measure of benefit policy, we come to the following conclusions. First, legal permanent residents should continue to be eligible for needs-tested assistance programs.
I'm okay with that.
Our views on eligibility for benefits of illegal aliens are different from those benefits that are recommended for legal aliens. If an alien is in this country lawfully, he should receive whatever benefits a lawful resident receives. But if a person is here unlawfully, he should be entitled to no benefits. No benefits.
That right there in itself should be entitled to no benefits. Somehow, the Black Caucus of today is saying the exact opposite of what our actual foundational Black American leaders and politicians were saying was in Black America's best interest. See how that happens? So now that we have somebody else from another background coming, that the entire objective of Black America has shifted to focusing on people in other countries that have nothing to do with us. And we're sending resources, and that's where all the brain power is going. In the same time, while browbeating and talking down on Black America, who say, hey, I want something for my vote. And we're just supposed to be okay with benign neglect when we know what our Black leaders were saying. This is what they were saying. Illegal immigration is harmful to us. So what did they have to do? Replace the Black voices with tethers. That's not being xenophobic. That is recognizing a danger. Here's more of what this woman's focus is. Come on now. Go ahead and play. Supposed to get right back to me. Let me get out of there and try to see if I can get back in it. Let me see if I ever send it. Let's see if I do. Maybe I can get it in here this way. Let me see if I can. Okay, so it's not going to do right. You know what? I'll tell you what. Let's do this. Okay, I gotta get out of that. Okay. And this video is still loading for some reason. I don't know what's happening. All right. All right, here we go.
Hi, everybody. I just left the House floor. We just did our first series of votes for today. I'm now headed to my office where we're going to be meeting with the Caribbean Caucus, two very vital issues that we have to address, both with concerns about democracy in the Western Hemisphere. We've been approached by many of our constituents who are Haitian descended, as well as Guyanese descended, and some serious issues with respect to democracy and how to get beyond conflict and get some resolution. So we're going to be meeting with a lot of our colleagues, including the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, Elliot Engel, to put some strategic thinking together and look at how we can impact and help, one, to address the civil unrest in Haiti, and to really examine the United States government's role in what is taking place in Guyana and in Haiti.
So y'all see. But there, to show you a little something else, that just goes to show, again, our delineation has caused a big monkey wrench because, again, you're using the American blackness to basically launch every other project for every other melanated individual on the earth, with the exception, of course, of Black Americans. This is crazy. We need more illegals. We need more people, diasporic. And at the same time, our government, and obviously they've been cooking up something. Let's see what that looks like.
Caucus is in danger. But Ambassador Shannon is right. It provides an opportunity for CARICOM countries and the United States president to carve out some kind of understanding, some kind of policy that will make the Caribbean region comfortable.
Wait, the who? So why is the United States president involved in CARICOM affairs? Does that sound right? I'll just rewind that for you guys if you didn't catch that, because you guys might not have known this existed. But let's just hear this again.
Look, the Summit of the Americas is in danger. But Ambassador Shannon is right. It provides an opportunity for CARICOM countries and the United States president to carve out some kind of understanding, some kind of policy that will make the Caribbean region comfortable with the United States and develop a plan that can be taken forward. It's a golden opportunity. But here's what can wreck it. If the United States insists on not inviting Cuba to this meeting, it will immediately cause 14 CARICOM countries not to attend. That means we don't have a Summit of the Americas that is meaningful.
I just like to point out something. They meaning Democrats, have shoved down our throats nonstop that Kamala Harris is black. Kamala Harris is black. Why? Well, her dad is from Jamaica. Does that look like a black man? Ms. Sir Ronald Sanders up here. Does this look like a black man? I want you to understand something. All the people on your screen represent the Caribbean. These are Caribbean ambassadors. So being from the Caribbean doesn't immediately mean black. But what it does mean, under the guise of Caribbean, Black America is being looked over for the likes of their interests. Kind of seems like, see, they can mask it by the face of Jamaica, the face of Barbados, the face of the Bahamas. They can mask what they're doing, the face of St. Lucia. But at the end of the day, this is who's running the show at these places. In the Caribbean. While they are talking about CARICOM. So it seems like CARICOM has already been well infiltrated, hasn't it? Any Pan-Africans watching this broadcast right now? I know this is a tape delay, but what y'all think? We need to get with who? Their governments. This is the heads of their governments. Who are we getting with? Who? This is what the heads are. Let me put it big on the screen again so you guys can get a good look at what Caribbean delegation looks like. You have Sir Ronald Sanders up here. You have Dr. Samantha Shayatram. She's clearly of East Indian descent. We have Dr. George Farrell. Down here we have Dr. David Lewis. Boy, that's a very Caribbean name. And next to him, this is the only black woman, and I say black immigrant, melanated immigrant on the screen, Miss Jacqueline Charles. And then on the edge, we have Ambassador Thomas, and his name is cut off. But so you guys get a good understanding of how people have been trying to play Black America. And you had a lot of shills come in your face trying to play these games with you. And that's playing in your face. just as much as this is too.
Pride, honor, and respect that I extend to you my heartfelt greetings on the occasion of the 63rd anniversary of the independence of the abundantly blessed nation of Jamaica, her people, and our diaspora. I am Congresswoman Yvette D. Clarke, and I proudly represent New York's 9th Congressional District, known for its very diverse communities in central and southwest Brooklyn, New York, and is commonly referred to as the 15th parish of Jamaica. I am also chairwoman of the historic United States Congressional Black Caucus for the 119th session of Congress, as well as a braggadocious, boasty, unapologetically proud Jamaican American. There's no doubt that the indelible impact of Jamaican culture and the legendary work ethic, not to mention the enormous intellectual, creative, and innovative contributions that continue to be made by diasporan families in the development of the United States, that the Rock has produced some extraordinary.
Wait, what? What diasporic what that helped build the United States? There were black slaves in America that did that. What did, see? So remember when they said Kamala Harris is Jamaican, that's why she can relate to us. Yvette Clarke is of Jamaican descent, and this is how she relates to us while sitting as chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. She don't have no love for us. Not talking like that.
Ordinary people who are capable of blazing a trail of excellence. Jamaican Americans have done their part in the shaping of American civil society. And
how would foreigners shape American society? How does that make sense? What is she talking about?
Jamaica continues to punch above her weight, or as we say, with liquor, but with talawa. Jamaica must give thanks to the ancestors for the DNA that has enabled a nation of strong people, strong in will and strong in faith. And history continues to record that the presence of the diaspora, Jamaicans, their descendants, who've made tremendous contributions in service, entrepreneurship, and finances, continue to have a profound impact on the land of their birth, as well as the communities they serve and support nationwide right here in the United States. History is recording our profound impact on societies overall. Wherever Jamaicans have found themselves in the world, they have made their presence known through their sheer brilliance. Happy.
That's funny. Did Busta Rhymes immediately let everybody know he was from Jamaica? That's a dishonest statement is all get out. But nonetheless, see, this screams of an agenda. And I don't know why anybody's not seeing it.
63rd Independence Day, Jamaica. May the people of the island nation of Jamaica and their government continue to strive toward a unity of purpose and continue to build upon the legacy of tenacity, ingenuity, courage, and bravery that is so widely known by people the world over. One love, bless up, and walk good.
And if that wasn't enough,
is a nation of immigrants. And while some were captured and bought in shackles and enslaved in this nation earlier on and did not come of their own volition, this nation ultimately is a nation that has been repopulated over time by people who have come from around the world.
No. especially the black population here, was repopulated with itself. So to say that see, again, we have to keep doing this this roundabout rewriting of history. And then you come and do that. While, see, this is always a disrespect to our ancestors. If we can't see that our ancestors in this country are respected, then we should not be walking around here as if these people have any respect for us. That's asinine to believe. If these people don't honor our ancestors and how they got here, then how on earth can you tell yourself that they're looking to positively link up with you? How does that work? I despise your origin. I despise the way you've been here. Matter of fact, I don't like how you are here.
That should be the basis from which all conversations about the future of this nation is conducted. Because when we get to the point in our country where some folks take ownership of it and others don't, we find ourselves in a bad place, a place where we have a person in the office who can marginalize, who can divide, who can conquer, and who can subordinate others within the nation. So I wanted to set.
You separate yourself every time you keep praising everything but Black America. See, this is the lies that they tell themselves. And again, this country was not built by immigrants.
But only non-immigrants. Our country is structured on immigrant rights to give them benefits. Black folk are the only non-immigrants in this country. I know people always say, well, Indians are immigrants. Indians were the original people. No, they were not. The original people in this country were black folk. The Folsom people.
Hey, for those idiot Pan-Africanists, you realize that's not Tariq Nasheed, right? I hope you guys understand that, right? And this obviously wasn't videotaped a couple years ago, right? Just saying.
That came in this country about 16,000 years ago. The so-called American Indians or Asians that came across the Bering Straits about 6,000 years ago. So what I'm saying is that everybody comes to this country to get benefits except black folk. Nobody wants to stick up for and fight for black folks. And you cannot solve the racial problem in this country unless you create a circumstance where black folk can acquire the wealth, power, decent communities, functional schools, and be able to take care of their own people and be self-supported.
That's what talking about Black America sounds like.
And competitive and independent.
Yeah, we don't hear that now, do we? These people ignore Black America altogether.
Federal government's budget put together. So Congress said, we don't have that kind of money. But Lincoln wanted to give reparations to Southern white plantations owners for any slaves they lost.
But in 1998, when blacks talk about reparations for free labor in slavery, they are virtually laughed to scorn. Why is that?
That's part of the hypocrisy in this country because first thing, black folk have never made it an issue. They keep thinking that they won't get it. Black people are the only group of people I know in this country who've labored and suffered and never got compensated for it. We've compensated American Indians now for almost 360 years.
One of the reasons why is because there's too many traitors amongst us. And they haven't been allowed to speak. These people who come here now don't even have any root here. And no connection to what he's talking about. So why would they honor it? And then they demonstrate time and time again that they don't honor it because they dishonor our ancestors every time they open their mouth to say, immigrants built America. Immigration did not build America. It helped what America could be after the building of America and the freed slaves. That's in 1800s. This country was founded in the 1700s, and the country and this infrastructure was built between the 1500s and the 1700s. There were no major immigration groups or immigrated groups at that time. That's not true. So to say that they were building something in America, no, that's why Black folks are the foundation of this country. The action of being the active founding of this nation. Shovel to soil, hammer to nail, design to paper. That's Black Americans. That's why we're an exceptional people. And we don't share that with anybody.
Reparations. Whites got reparation, which they call freedom dues, and they came out of indentured servitude. Jews have gotten reparations. Jews have picked up over $52 billion since World War II. Japanese have gotten 3 or 4 reparations. They got $22,000 each starting in 1990 from the United States. They've also gotten reparations from 2 cities in California and the state of California. And Japanese Americans who moved to Latin America just came back into the country last year and picked up over $1 billion. The only people who've never gotten compensated is Black folk.
And there are Black folks right now trying to make sure they stop other Black folks from getting reparations. You understand what I'm saying to y'all, family? Let me find this. Let me get down here. So remember back before when I showed you I was talking about Yvette Clarke, and I told you about the Jam woman and how she was involved, and how this gets back to the MacArthur Foundation and their partners, and then how that list ended up on TV. And this kind of makes me wonder, because when I went back and read some things, I'm like, well, this is very interesting. So for those who don't know, the Jam woman is also plugged into NARC, which by way of that, of course, would be tied in with Cobra. And so just to show you real quick what she's part of. This is NARC's page right here, right? Look who wrote that. That's her right there. Let's see if it'll take us to her. Oh, it'll just take us. So here's the source. But she is the founder of the National Black Cultural Information Trust, Inc., and a member of the National African American Reparations Commission, which is NARC. So ain't that Big Bird? And so that's what you're getting there. Okay, so let's go see what we're talking about here. Let me do this here. All right, so let's walk it down. For reparations, Black America needs power, not new names. Ain't that something? This is July 26, 2022. Toni Morrison said it best. The very serious function of racism is a distraction. It keeps you from doing your work. It keeps you from explaining it keeps you explaining over and over again your reasons for being. So she goes on to say, since Ta-Nehisi Coates, the case of reparations was published by the Atlanta Conversation about reparations have grown substantially. For many, reparations went from a passing wish to a possible reality. Over the last 3 years, there has been an ongoing series of debates about pursuing governmental disaggregation among various Black ethnic groups in America, and the idea that Black Americans descending from enslaved Africans need new names to delineate ourselves and receive reparations. Now, it's funny she says ourselves. She includes herself in that. As a descendant of formerly enslaved Africans and sharecroppers, I share a complex history behind those discussions. Our ancestors built this country, but they built it as captives. To this day, we struggle with voter suppression, the right to fair housing, the right to safe and adequate health care, and much more. That has nothing to do with reparations. You're convoluting two completely different topics that can most definitely be addressed on their own individually, but they're not the same topic. So you see what she just did there? And it's like, oh, because what she first did is she gave the self-identifying, see, I'm part too. So the next load of steering the conversation to another direction, no one will really catch it because I'm Black too. So reparations is about one thing. If you want to address all these other things, voter suppression and all of that, that got nothing to do with lineage-based reparations. And so let's see, let's go on some more. This is the Jam Woman talking. So I'm just saying, every time you see her, just understand, I showed you that chart of her funding partners trying to infiltrate reparations. While she's over here, they got their hands trying to make sure CARICOM get part of our stuff. But as you see, I just showed you the people behind the scenes that are over here dealing with the American government, talking about so they can feel comfortable, and they're looking to rope Cuba into our, man, come on, no. No. And let's see. Delineate, disaggregate. When? Not so fast. Some believe that we need federal recognition, similar to Native American tribes. The presumption is that if the government completely delineates and desegregates African Americans from Black immigrants, they will more clearly see our dismal economic state and give us more specially targeted programs, including reparations to help uplift us economically. However, even with 574 federally recognized Native American tribes, Native Americans have the highest rate of poverty amongst racial groups in America. They also continue to endure discrimination and dehumanization, but they do get a chance to police themselves, and their hospitals are on their own facility with their own doctors. We don't have that now, do we? They also don't pay taxes, and they have met certain. They don't pay taxes. They got certain different programs and breaks that get their money. So no. See, again, this is somebody talking preventative of cash payments for reparations for foundational Black Americans. Are you understanding what I'm saying here? This is preventive talk. Let's see. Then comes the idea that all Black Americans should prove enslaved ancestry before receiving reparations. However, we can barely get an accurate census count. That's not true. There are censuses with slaves listed on those censuses as property. So no, that's not all. Requiring slave ancestry documentation for 41 million people as a prerequisite to reparative justice opens a whole can of worms. It does not, because all of us come from these big families. So all you need to do is lock down one relative. In my case, it goes to one. You could go to one, you can go to a few, but all you need to do is know who that one relative is and all of their descendants. That's a done deal. So to sit up here and act like, oh, it's so hard. No, it's not. That's a flat out lie. It's very simple. It's so simple for everyone else. They can find how to pay illegals. How can you get a check to a person that don't even have a social security number, but you can't seem to figure out how to pay the descendants of slaves who for generations, all of us have social security numbers? Miss me. Such a prerequisite will likely increase barriers for families unable to meet specific standards of proof and turn reparative justice into a punitive, timely, and costly enterprise. Costly for who? And it's barriers. What barriers? Because right now, the biggest barrier is it not being available. You see what she's doing? This is how you can listen to a white objective in blackface. And that's who Jam is. As black as she is, as much as she's saying she's down for African or Pan-African, no. That woman is doing the bidding of these people. And none of these people mean our community any good. None of these companies have an interest on reparative justice for Black America. So why would they want to be transforming anything about our reparations? Huh? Reparations doesn't involve them unless it involves them paying. They can do that without all of this. That's showing you they desire control. That's what that is. That's control. You understand? Let's see. Proof of residency within particular time periods would be more efficient if we ever reach this point. And this is her post. And so this is her shot at Tariq Nasheed. I'm begging folks to read one book and watch one documentary about African American history that wasn't created by a YouTube influencer. And please look up Arturo Alfonso Schomburg, Afro-Puerto Rican historian and preserver of Black history in America. Yes, we know who Schomburg is. Doesn't change the lineage requirement for reparations in this country. I mean, goodness. What if we become freedmen again? Others believe we should stop using the terms Black American and African American and redesignate ourselves as freedmen, citing the Freedmen's Bureau to bolster our legal justice claim. However, the freedmen identifier didn't prevent the U.S. government from arresting Callie Guy House as she advocated for reparations through her National Ex-Slave Mutual Relief, Bounty, and Pension Association. Well, that's because that's white supremacy. We fully understand that's how that works. And at this particular day and age, that what they did then, that's not going to work. So you're trying to tie in something from that was the circumstance then and apply it to now. And that's not the case. Another thing that I can't help but notice that these people also do, especially this Jam woman, notice how they talk all about us. They have the Pan-African circular going nowhere. But we need to be getting to the conversation of where our claims, just like Malcolm X was talking about in the first place, getting this in front of the UN, because we have a human rights issue, and reparations is a human rights. Reparations is a human rights issue, especially when you come down to the history of chattel slavery in America. Everybody wants to try to attach themselves to it, but you can't. And so what she's trying to do is every aspect of locking down lineage-based reparations. That's why we say foundational Black American freedmen. They're used interchangeably. So she doesn't want, so we're foundational Black Americans. That's a new identifier, another delineation. And here's freedmen, actually going with status. That, of course, again, eliminates tethers. So here she is operating against that. Now she's doing this saying, oh, well, I'm foundational Black American, but is she really? Let's see. What if we added slaves and slavery to our name? Addie, Queen Mother Moore, created the Reparations Committee for the Descendants of American Slaves through the Republic of New Africa. She advocated for land ownership and reallocation to African Americans. She advanced the movement through ongoing advocacy and passed the torch to upcoming activists. Still, the United States government rejected these demands. We understand what has happened in the past. And guess what, Jam? We don't live in that time. See, we are the people of today, shaping a better tomorrow, not spending all of our time in past failures or obstacles, but moving forward and pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps to come get what is owed to us, so then we can demonstrate some kind of level of independence within this country and across the globe. But these things must happen. Everybody is not tied to our debt, and we have no obligation to these people for that case. And this is all that she has been put here to do. And remember, whose money has her doing it? This is what you see. This is also the same type of money that gets Yvette Clarke in those positions, because this has been all about pushing immigration by way of Pan-Africanism. And it's more and more day in, day out that Pan-Africanism is absolutely co-opted by the powers that be. And if you ain't really pushing that, look at Umar Johnson right now. He couldn't sell it, and they letting him flounder. About to get his school took while he's taking donations. It's crazy. Let's see. And she's really keep going back to Toni Morrison. Why gives a damn about her? Didn't she have isn't she a swirler? Lesbian? Something like that? Various identifiers for Black Americans are not new and are not a reason why America will or will not pay us reparations. This belief that new names and identifiers for African Americans are crucial to receiving reparations and closing the racial wealth gap is just not supported by history. Here is the thing. She's talking about names. Notice how she tried to make it about names. Delineation is literally delineating. We're separating as a lineage, not by a name. And she knows that. That's why she's trying to identify what she's combating without action. Because if you just get, well, this is who's owed, well, then that's very cut and dry. So she keeps convoluting the argument every step of the way. And she goes back to Toni Morrison. Our problem is not that we are using the wrong name or not delineating ourselves enough. We've been denied reparations because we live in a nation steeped in racism and white supremacy. Okay, let's skip over Toni Morrison because we don't care. What if we stop being African descendants? Online misinformation surrounding African American history and lineage has also crept up into these conversations. Some online groups sometimes seek to completely disconnect Black Americans from their African American ancestry by denying African ancestry and claiming that Black Americans are true Native Americans, which historians have already proven. But okay, Dr. Jam doesn't know that. This leads to minimizing or denying the transatlantic slave trade. It does not. Surely this will not get us reparations either. These conspiracy theories are harmful narratives. How? That showcase internalized anti-Blackness and Afrophobia. Absolutely not. Delineating as a group and embracing our culture here in this country is pro-Black, not anti-Black. We work towards correcting this type of cultural misinformation at the National Black Cultural Information Trust. What they're telling you people, grassroots, the black grassroots, she thinks she's going to convince you to think her coon-ass way. That's what she means. What if we reject other black people? Will America pay us? That's a dishonest question. But anyway, unfortunately, much of the delineation conversation have delved into ongoing diaspora wars and xenophobia. Various online influencers have used misinformation to turn Black America's complexities into a war against Black immigrants. BS. Their rhetoric has crossed over into nativism. The current foundational Black Americans and other movements supposedly supporting slave descendants are prime examples of this. None of these digital battles produce anything tangible, but has instead popularized Afrophobia, and with many Black Americans also becoming targets. That's not true. The only beneficiaries are white nationalists and white right-wingers that use anti-immigrant rhetoric like that, or like the Great Replacement theory to keep American white. Anti-immigration leader Roy Beck and protege of white nationalist John Tanton has been gallivanting in Black Twitter spaces promoting his anti-immigrant book targeting Black Americans. Conservative commentator Ann Coulter already published articles promoting a Black American replacement theory. They are enjoying this. So what does Black America need? As many of our elders and ancestors before us have said, we need political, economic, and cultural power. This heavily depends on organizing, institution building, and that fulfills the material needs of our communities, and actively challenging the white supremacist underpinning of America. So basically wanting foundational Black Americans to once again do all the heavy lifting for every other group that we already seen will roll the F over and let these other folks do what they want and say, hey, Black America, why don't you come over here? Come help us out. So let's get into who Jam is. Let's get this. This is an article by Amy Yee. This is in Yas magazine. Yas with an exclamation point. Anyway, how to combat disinformation information targeting Black communities. Since 2016, organizers have identified campaigns sowing falsehoods about the pandemic, which that doesn't sound right because there was no pandemic in 2016, and the presidential election, and have worked to counteract them. So this is telling you since 2016, since New Black Media really kind of been out here weighing heavy on these Democrats' tops, they're saying since then, they have activated and spent money. And again, remember, Jam has all of these foundation partners. She has those funding partners that are, they're going to get her that good bread to go ahead and, get in the way of what Black folks are trying to get done, and look at that MacArthur Foundation, the Ford Foundation. These people that are, no friends, Black community, just saying. So anyway, earlier this year, Jessica Ann Mitchell, Iowa, whatever, saw a friend arguing on Twitter about Black identity. I don't know how to pronounce that last name, so I won't worry about doing it. So Jam noticed that that the Twitter account her friend was fighting with was a new one with 0 followers and wasn't following anyone else. She told her friend that she was probably arguing with a bot or troll, and that's probably true. The revelation stopped the online debate in its tracks. Her friend stopped engaging with the suspicious account. When Jam tells others that infuriating online debates could be with bots or trolls, those incendiary changes begin to come into focus and lose some of their power. They're happy to hear that they haven't lost their minds, said Jam, and a communication specialist based near Washington, D.C. Indeed, her friend may have been a victim of a broad disinformation campaign aimed at the Black community in the United States by Russian backed internet research agency or other bad actors. Groups are counteracting disinformation aimed at the Black community by spreading accurate information, becoming reliable sources in the communities, and tapping local influencers to be trusted messengers. And to that regard, absolutely so. That's why they've been combating us nonstop and complaining about the new Black media. And with that, let's just take a moment to pause for our sponsor.
So if any Black people want reparations
and want to stay a star, and don't want to have to worry about
tethers,
trying to be all in the video,
speaking for Black people,
dancing,
come to New Black Media and the Black Grassroots. Peace.
All right. So during the 2016 presidential campaign, no single group of Americans was targeted by IRA information operatives more than Foundational Black Americans, according to a Senate Intelligence Committee report released October 2019. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? Let's see. Ahead of the general election, U.S. intelligence agencies such as the FBI have been sounding the alarm about disinformation and malicious attempts to, quote, manipulate public opinion, discredit the electoral process, and undermine confidence in the U.S. democratic institutions, unquote. JAM was alarmed by the ongoing problem and this October launched the National Black Cultural Information Trust to challenge disinformation. But that is funny because this doesn't really have disinformation in the conversation, but it most definitely has reparations in the conversation. And that's something. How about that? So, okay, there we are. Can't really see me, but all right. Let's see. Disinformation, falsehoods, and rumors purposefully meant to cause harm is, quote, a perpetual attempt to tarnish and erode our democracy, said the NAACP in October. Along with the National Black Cultural Information Trust, the NAACP and other groups are countering disinformation aimed at the Black community by spreading accurate information, becoming reliable sources in the communities, and tapping local influencers to be trusted messengers. And let's just say this last election proved that they could not pull that off. It absolutely showed that their influencers couldn't be trusted. And then it came out that their influencers were being paid by the party, therefore deceiving the people. Then you gave them Kamala Harris, to whom they didn't even vote for. How does that work? Anyway, researchers found, I hope I'm not still frozen because I don't know why I am. That makes no sense. So anyway, we'll do it this way. Okay. The researchers found that Twitter accounts operated by Russian trolls posing as Black activists received more engagements than other types of inauthentic accounts, said Dion Freeland of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill and lead author of a study published this year in Social Science Computer Review. Now, if you guys remember, they've already disproved that whole Russian troll thing in the first place. So meaning that there were no Russian trolls, but you had somebody from North Carolina saying this is what was going on. That didn't exist. We are the grassroots. And see, you can't say that we're trolls anymore. That's why this whole line that they got right now has been debunked. But they were pushing it. And it's been proven to be not true. Ahead of 2016 elections, Blacktivist, a Russian-created campaign with social media accounts, spewed intentionally divisive posts and racked up 11.2 million engagements on Facebook alone, such as likes and shares. This year, an unprecedented pandemic, race-related protests, and polemical U.S. elections provide ample fodder for disinformation campaigns. Bad information can discourage people from voting, exacerbate COVID-19 health risks, and sow distrust in government institutions. Lord. Twitter in October suspended fake Black accounts after shutting down nearly 1,600 accounts, including some based in Iran that inflamed conversations about Black Lives Matter, and other racially charged issues. Facebook also recently suspended hundreds of fake accounts. You know what's funny about those fake accounts? I don't know any of them. I've never really seen any of them. I don't even know what they're talking about. They would have to show me screenshots of these fake accounts because there's a bunch of people speaking. You know what I'm saying? Uh-oh, need to fix the audio. Just a sec. Okay, hopefully we're good. So recent disinformation spreads falsehoods about voting station locations or that voting by mail doesn't work. In Michigan, people are receiving robocalls claiming that voting will put people on government watch lists. And Ray Lanier, a director at nonprofit Michigan Liberation. I've never heard anyone say anything remotely close to that. Never. I don't know. I think somebody might be lying. I'm just saying that I've never heard nobody say nothing like that. Other falsehoods claim that Black people couldn't contract the vid or that the virus is caused by 5G cell phone technology. Getting reliable information is a life or death situation. It's not intellectual conversation. Well, see, they were just, that's more of them pushing Bill Gates stuff on you. So talking about disinformation there, Black folks know better than enough Black folks do. So enough Black folks didn't bother getting that nonsense. Because, they have no monument to all of these dead Americans. If there was that many dead Americans from that, they would have a monument somewhere with their names on it. But you don't hear any talk about them doing any of that for the people that passed in the pandemic, those millions of people, right? Because, again, with all the votes and stuff, you see, I guess you should say that, well, all of those millions of people should have affected the vote. But yet you had higher voter turnout in the last two votes than ever. But, it's voter suppression and all of that. So we got to keep talking about that, I guess. Anyway, Black people are particularly vulnerable to false health information because they are more likely to have existing and untreated health conditions. This trust exists in Black communities due to a long documented history of medical experimentation, neglect, and limited diversity of the medical profession, according to a report from the Sorstein Center at Harvard Kennedy School. But various organizations are combating disinformation in innovative ways. New Georgia Project, based in Atlanta, forges connections with young people, especially Black and other people of color, through hackathons and video games launched to get them interested in elections. In November 2019, some of the
My name is Natalia Conde. I am a master's student in the American Studies Department, and today I was invited to SEPA to speak about race and disinformation. I think the most important thing people need to keep in mind for 2024 is when they encounter any type of online commentary that makes them feel scared or anxious, specifically if it's around immigrants, migrants, they're coming, they're taking your jobs. That should be a warning sign that you're probably getting into a conversation where dis and misinformation are easy to integrate because you're already feeling anxious, you're already feeling scared, you're already spending way too much time online. Just put your phone down, relax, and come back and really think about what's going to really move us forward as a country.
Article 2 does not give the executive the authority to withhold funds, period. And multiple courts have weighed in to agree. Multiple courts have ruled in agreement. Congress controls the power of the purse. That is a fact. That's not a question. That is a fact. And so if the president disagrees with certain spending, Congress passed the Impoundment Act to create a legal process to seek rescissions, and we expect him to follow the law. This administration is not just ignoring the constitutional power of the people's elected representatives. It is also violating the fundamental right of individuals. Do you believe that the Constitution grants everyone in our country the right to due process, including non-citizens?
The administration has the authority to.
Ma'am, I'm looking for a yes or no question. Yes or no. Do you believe the Constitution? Yes, ma'am. Do you,
we have
ma'am?
not conducted
Reclaiming my time,
impoundment.
Mr. Chairman.
Time is yours.
Okay. Secretary Noem, I'm just looking for a yes or no here. Do you believe the Constitution guarantees due process to everyone in America?
Due process is exactly what this Congress lays out.
Yes or no?
It is,
Okay,
and the
ma'am,
tools
I'll
that
take
you
that as
give
a
us
no.
on due process
Excuse me,
is
I'm trying,
afforded to
ma'am, I'm trying to ascertain your understanding of the law as it applies to your department. And you as its leader should be able to give us a yes or no answer because judge after judge has ruled that the law is not being followed. Do you believe that the U.S. government has the authority to deport American citizens?
No, and we are not deporting
great.
U.S. citizens.
I'm so happy to hear that you do not believe that the law gives you that authority because the federal government has no authority under U.S. laws to deport any American citizen. And as I know, everyone viewing this hearing today knows that several American citizens have been deported to date.
That is not
Secretary
true.
Noem, that was not a question. Secretary Noem, that oath that we both swore before taking office was to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States, not the president, not a political party, the Constitution. And that's what we're going to keep doing here at the Appropriations Committee. Thank you. I yield back. Why do so many people feel like it's that our business is their business? We are this is the problem, Black America. Listen to me. This is the problem. We are way too open. We are way too welcoming, way too open to allow everybody into our shit. Everybody is all in our business, and we're way too open to it. We need to close the doors, okay? The doors need to be closed, because you can't find nothing on my page, at least, where I'm talking about Asian issues, white issues, Arab issues, or whoever else's issues, because it ain't none of my business. I mind the business that's mine. But for some reason, everybody feels like they can mind our business. Everybody feels like they can insert themselves into our business. We're just the free for all. Everybody could just be all up in our business. We're just the free for all culture where everybody could just be a part of it. You know, we're not really real. We're not a real ethnic group. We're just random generic Africans. You know, that's how these people pretty much think of us.
Some of the Black American who does not know the background, who does not know the destination, who does not have culture, or what they call tradition. This message directed to you. If you're a woman enough, come on my DM. You say you want to go protest against African breading shop, restaurant. You couldn't protest against the white people who was killing you guys like chicken. You couldn't protest against the Chinese that take over America, they're richer than you guys. But you want to go protest against another person. How foolish can you be? How foolish, how classless, how senseless some of you. You guys can be. No. You told us that in August 1st, African breading shop and restaurant are going to feel it, the heat, right? Do you know that if you threaten African, they will deal with you like chicken? Have you ever seen where they turn somebody to chicken? Ha! You don't know what they call black magic? You want to go try some African? You destroy any African shop, they will deal with your entire generation. First of all, African don't hold gun. We don't mix by gun. We deal with spirit. We swim in the spirit. Some are full of witchcraft. For those who want, my advice to don't go protest. Stay in your house. Because if they catch your face, like you protest against the shop, or you destroy anything in the shop, I don't know, maybe you end up with stroke.
So this message is to my Black Americans, okay? So you have African women, like this woman here herself, right? Coming on the internet and making threats to our community, trying to put fear in our hearts to keep us from, going and, doing the boycott that a lot of us are planning on doing against their shops, right? Because they're so afraid, they're scared, okay? But I want to make something very clear, okay, to a lot of Africans, okay? So I want to make something extremely clear, because I think a lot of you guys don't realize that we have our own magic too. Something you don't really know much about, because you don't really immerse yourself in the culture here when you come. So how would you really know, right? Because to you, you feel like we don't have any culture. One thing you need to know, love, is that my people are extremely protected. Just like you got your ancestors that protect you, we have ours that protect us as well, okay? I know you know, because some of y'all go to those damn practitioners trying to put voodoo or hoodoo on people, and come to find out, you can't, because they're extremely protected. You can't put fear in anyone's heart, okay, love? Because we're not dumb. You can't just put magic on any innocent person. You and I know universal law when you do that. When you go and try to put magic on innocent people, one thing y'all need to know is it backfires. That shit will hit your ass faster than you can blink, okay? And the universe will make sure that you will get your karma for what you did. It don't work like that, okay? And you know it. So you can keep putting that little fear into my community all you want. It's not working, love, okay? Because like I said, we have our own magic. My ancestors protect us in the same way yours do too. Okay? Get that in your head. My people have been fighting with your people for a long time. That's one thing you don't know. A lot of y'all have no idea. You come here and don't even know the true history of what happened here. What went on? My ancestors have been fighting your ancestors for a long time, love. Y'all came here and took from us. You forget? You are the generation of your ancestors, the ones that stole from us. We didn't forget that shit. So you can think that you can put magic on us. You can think that you can put fear in our hearts. It's not working, love. It
It's a cultural divide. I'ma get it on the floor. 40 acres in the mule. This is bigger than the music.
You have no rights here. We're not under the empire.
One more time, we are giving it for a child Marshall, y'all. We're gonna take it one more time if you didn't know it. It's time to get doo-doo-dum. Dookie, I'm telling me, we got this, as we know, get like, it's time to